Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elishava, and I'm here with Eitan. And today we're talking about how to release and heal from one of the greatest plagues of the 20th century, and that is guilt. I don't think anybody is exempt. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe there are some people that are not bothered or affected by feelings like guilt, blame, and shame. But the combination this week of both the weekly energy and the fact that we just started the month of Capricorn, which if you're a Capricorn or you know someone who loves Capricorns, you know that one of the tendencies that can hinder the shining of their great light is how hard they are on themselves and how seriously they take everything. And the Kabbalists teach that whenever the problem arises, the solution comes before the problem. The cure comes before the illness. So we have the opportunity this week to inoculate ourselves from the areas in our lives where guilt plagues us the most and really learn to develop a completely new perspective, which is what our goal with you in the next little while is to share with you the wisdom and tools that can help you free yourself from the guilt, the unhealthy guilt that's standing in your way from you shining more of your own unique light. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we provide our listeners with the most powerful and practical tools to navigate the coming 7 days. We do that because we practice and study the wisdom of Kabbalah. So in every episode, we share the wisdom, the tools, the consciousness, and even stories about people doing this work so that every episode ends up revealing wisdom and tools you can use not only this week, but any week of your life. And because we're now riding on the coattails of Hanukkah and we've just begun the month of Capricorn, we have renewed energy that we can focus toward diminishing the influences that prevent us from shining that light. And really, to me, it's a version of darkness that comes up for us. And one of the gifts that we received this week of Hanukkah is the energy to transcend our challenges. And as a person who works with individuals who are trying to live these principles, I find that one of the top challenges people face in their spiritual journey is guilt, dealing with decisions they made in the past that were short-sighted or from a limited place, mistakes, as they call them, that they made, things when they hurt people or were selfish. And how can we in this week utilize the energy not only to heal the past, but going forward to use those moments that we could easily let hold us back and break us down? How can we use those moments to grow, to expand, and to heal? Eitan, where should we begin?
Here is the paradox. In one hand, when you take seriously your purpose in life, which is transformation, growth, elevation, purity, so every spiritual mistake, every moment you hurt people, every time you're not aligned with your soul and you've been taken by your ego, by your negative side, by your reactive, it will bother you. And a person that truly care will be bothered, will be upset about mistake. If not, you don't care. In one hand. In the other hand, when you are bothered too much, or when you dwell in shame and in guilt too much, then you're not having the strength to move forward in your spiritual path. So really, in this episode, we really would like to reframe mistakes, not to dismiss mistakes, to grow from them, to learn from them. But how do we transform energy of guilt to energy of growth? And I would like to start with there's a story in the Zohar which was a discussions between the angels that assisted the creator in creating mankind and the creator. And they said, you're about to create a human being. that gonna sin, gonna make so many mistakes, gonna be so low, the opposite of your nature. Why? And the Creator answered, I mistakes are part of the path of humanity. Mistakes are actually giving human being the opportunity to get higher if we wouldn't make mistakes. So actually mistakes are part of life. Wrong actions are part of life. None of us can say I never made mistakes. I never short circuited. I never listened to my ego. We all did and we all will. The question is, how do we reframe our perspective around mistakes, wrongdoing, in a way that it can actually perpetuate growth and elevation. So that's really, we want to be perfect, we want to be better, we want to be elevated, but part of our path will be mistakes. So where would you start? And maybe Elisheva, can you share with us how is it connected to the story of this weekly portion?
Yeah, that to me is the best illustration of what we're talking about, because as we've been sharing in the last few weeks, the main character in the Torah portions has been Joseph. And we come to the point in the story where, as we spoke about a few weeks ago, his brothers lost everything. There's a famine. They could no longer make ends meet. And at the time, the Egyptian Empire ruled over uh, hundreds of countries, and they came to Egypt to ask for support, to ask for a government handout loan. And of course, Joseph was responsible for the wealth of the Egyptian empire. So they came to Joseph. Joseph recognized them immediately. And at a certain point, Joseph revealed himself to his brothers and said, um, it's me, Joseph. And of course, they were shocked because they had sold him years before. And for sure, at that point, thought he must be dead. And they hug. It's very emotional. And at a certain point, one of the brothers, Yehuda, comes to Joseph. Like he can't contain himself anymore. He feels so terrible, and at the same time is looking at the greatness of his brother. And it's like there's this ultimate reconciliation that takes place, this ultimate breakdown in a way of the ego, of the, like, really the unification that happens in that point takes everybody's movie to the next level. And a big part of that story, according to Kabbalah, is Joseph's perception, right? He says, I have nothing to forgive you for. You didn't do anything. The Creator made you do it because I had to get to Egypt in order to fulfill my soul's purpose. I had to be thrown into the pit and into prison and everywhere that I've been because I wouldn't become, and this is, I think, is what we need to remember, if not for those low moments. And Joseph had his moments of uncertainty and weakness. If not for those moments, he would not be the chariot for the energy of Yesod and the second to Pharaoh, and all the levels that he achieved were because of where he had been. He was able to have that perspective and completely release any blame, hatred, anger to his brothers for what they did. Like he saw the hand of the Creator even in what looked like was selfish and damaging and wrong. And so I think for us, obviously, it sounds like a superhuman, transformation, elevation. But I believe that what we can see and what we can learn from also the way that the Kabbalists teach us to reframe mistakes and guilt and blame and shame is that there is a divine purpose to it all. And I'm hoping that at least, between us, we can share those gems, those diamonds, really for our own growth, not only to say, "Oh, it was a story that happened thousands of years ago and how powerful those souls must have been." That's us. Those people are us, and we have that same ability to use those moments where we act out of lack, out of fear, out of doubt, out of worry, and understand that those moments, like you said, it's part of the process of becoming who we need to be. How 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 can we best deliver that message? Not only the message, but imagine that the universe is showing us this week, here's the energy for the rest of the year that anytime you fall, you fail, you stop short of what you're capable of doing, tap into the energy of this week and you'll have in your reservoir the ability to rise above, take responsibility and heal from it.
Beautiful. And I think in the story that you described between the brothers and Joseph, which Yehuda, the leader of the brothers, was the one in front of Joseph. And Yehuda went through processes. Step number one, he didn't realize, he didn't know he made mistakes of selling his brothers. He thought he did the right thing. And then he woke up to realize, wow, I feel so shame. I feel so guilt. I caused so much pain to my brother. I caused so much pain to my father. He felt weak. He felt weak. He felt unenergized. He felt not connected to the creator. And then he got to a deeper level. He realized I take full responsibility by the by the mistake and by wrong intention and with the fact that I was blinded to my brother ears and the pain that I cause, I take full responsibility. Nevertheless, I know that's part of my journey, and I know without that mistakes, my brother will not be where he is, and the Israelites will not eventually will leave Egypt because that was the doing of the lie. Nevertheless, I took full responsibility but no willing to learn the lessons, to change my ways. Actually, one of the indications you take full responsibility is when you're acting differently. And while Yehuda took responsibility, he didn't act properly to protect his brother Joseph, now he is willing to sacrifice his life to protect the other brother Benjamin. So real, but at the same time, it was a mistake, but I don't regret any aspects of the past. Ravberg always shared learn from your past, don't regret your past. Without your past, you wouldn't be who you are today. It's interesting. Before you make mistakes, you need to feel, wow, please the creator, allow me to do the right thing. I don't want to make mistakes. After you made mistake, you need to look at this. You know what? Stop being hard on yourself, dwelling guilty. Initially, we all would. That's feel bad about ourselves, but then wake up, face the brutal truth, the honest truth of what mistakes you've done, what action you're willing to take, but be present and know that the Creator is with you. Because thinking, I'll never be worthy of the light, that's the opposite of why the Creator even presented potential mistakes that we'll make in this world. And that's the level that Yuda reached. I remember learning with a doctor that has a major career as a surgeon. In his initial years, when he was in his stage, in residencies that he studied, he made a major mistake as a beginning doctor that could almost cost the life of someone. And he turned to be okay, and he was hesitant, should I share it with my main mentor, doctor, or not? And he decided to share. So that head doctor of the department called all the doctors and all the residents that were there. And he said, let's celebrate the mistake that our friend just made. Because if we don't celebrate mistakes and if we're not acknowledge mistake, we'll never grow. Mistakes, it's part of becoming a better doctor in that particular arena. So my friend, student that studied with me for many years, that became a major doctor and leader to so many other doctors in a unique field, from that moment learn and actually mentors all the doctors under him. Let's celebrate mistakes. Our reactive nature is every time we do something amazing, we want to celebrate it and to be proud of it and to tell other people about it. And every time we make mistakes, something is wrong with me. I'm ashamed. I feel guilt. Why should I celebrate? It's tough for me even to accept myself with that mistake. Why should I celebrate it with others? The strength, yeah, feel bad, because if you don't feel bad, initially you don't care. But then turn that energy to growth. Turn that energy to full acceptance. I've done already. It's exactly in my path. Not for the sake of mistakes. That's who I am. Move on. No, because you want to grow from that mistake. That's part of the path of transformation and growth. Celebrate mistake is the opposite of the energy of guilt. It's actually learning that all those downs are actually potential ups in growth. And our ego don't like it. Our ego constantly perceives ourselves. I'm good, I'm bad. I'm good, I'm bad. The good behavior is good. How can I get better? And the mistakes, or what we call the bad behavior, it's part of the process to become even higher. Good or good? Good or
You
better? Yeah.
I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm thinking of so many teachings that have helped me in my own journey to leave behind the beating myself up and thinking, why did I do it? How could I have been so selfish, so stupid, so whatever? And I'm thinking, there's a bit of well, let's say the main teaching that helped me, and then I have a question for you about it, because at the same time, right, we've taught in many different episodes, we've spoken about the idea that Kabbalah teaches that there is both free will and predetermination, right? There's certain aspects of our existence that are unavoidable. They're going to happen no matter what we do. And there's certain aspects of the movie that are up to us to create. So there is this a teaching really that it's like to live, as you say, to be in that dance of, in the moment when I have a decision to make, when I need to take action, when I need to speak up or make a move, I need to know that it depends on me, right? I can't the taking responsibility starts from the beginning of the process, not only retrospectively. So I need to know that there is some light for me to reveal, and I need to focus on, I must I want to do my best with it. What's the highest version of this movie that I can create? Obviously, we're not there all the time. Everybody gets impatient, has a bad move. We're human, right? And in those moments, there's light as well. But once we've made the decision, once the day is done, the Kabbalists teach at the end of the day, we need to know that the Creator did it all. It wasn't even us. And that mindset for me, on one hand, it's a deeply I want to say spiritual, it's maybe too easy of a word to use. It's like a really, if you let it in and you understand that everything that in our existence, from the people in our family, the people on the street, every moving part of our life is orchestrated by the Creator, you realize you didn't really do that much at all. Even though you take so seriously the mistake you made, the words you use, the attitude you have. And being in, that place of, when it's in front of me, it's only up to me. I'm the only one that can do it. And when it's behind me, I actually didn't do anything at all. It was all the light of the Creator. So I think it's also possible to get confused in that moment, right? Do I have free will? Did I make any choices? Or is Kabbalah saying the creator gave me the thoughts, I didn't even really do anything? Is that really what we're teaching? And I know the answer is no, but at the same time, I wonder, it's very easy to use this teaching as an excuse. Yeah, I yelled at my kids. The light made me do it. Yeah, I cut somebody off in traffic. The light made me do it. How do we balance between taking responsibility and the light of the creator is behind everything?
That's a beautiful question. And I think it's important to see the big picture. So, in the big picture, we all are in a journey of transformation from selfish to selfless, from driven by ego to driven by soul, from doing actions with need for recognition or doing action for the need and the pure intention to get closer to the creator, from manifesting 1% of our potential to manifest 100% of our potential, and becoming closer to the creator, being like the creator and becoming a pure channel. That's the journey that all of us came to this world. So what is the free will? Will it take 100 years to get to that ultimate potential that already Kabbalistically existed in the perfected dimension? Or will it take 2 lifetimes, 5 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes, 200 lifetimes? We all gonna get there. So it's given. Now, more we learn, faster we're learning the lessons of how to become better, how to become less controlled by our ego, by our reactive nature, faster in the world of time, the world of process, the world of time. It's only our world, and that's our free will. Will it be longer or sooner? Would it be filled with a lot of pain or much less pain, much more joy? That's the test of our humanity, how all of us as humanity will arrive to the final destination, which is Mashiach consciousness or love the neighbor as yourself, and each one of us as individual. While, yes, I would like to wake up to all the lessons that I can do in life, but one of the greatest way to wake up from mistakes after the fact, is to learn that mistakes was part of my path. Now it's your business to learn from it. So, what you're saying, Elisheva, in one hand, we have the consciousness, every second matter. Make sure to make choices that comes from soul. Don't fall into the ego. Absolutely. And we would like to increase the moment that we are aware, we are mindful, we realize everything is a test, and we want to increase that. But part of our journey as imperfect human being will make mistakes. And the only way you grow from the mistakes, that you realize that you were blind and you made a mistake, but after the fact, actually that mistake already was written to you by the creator. Yes. If you would have learned the lessons about what you need to act better earlier, you might have skipped that. But who wrote all our potential destiny with all the mistakes and less mistakes and less mistakes? Who presented it? Me? That's ego trip. My only free will is to speed up the process to move from a long movie to a shorter movie and more joyous. All the movies was created and written by the creator. Which reminding me the beautiful teachings of Rav Ashlag. And he's giving the example of uh, uh, an orange tree and oranges. Every fruit in this world, while the final destination of the fruit from us, the people who eating the fruit, is to eat juicy, sweet fruit. But the fruit is going through a process. From the second the fruit appear on the branches, if you're gonna taste it, it will be so sour. and still sour, and gradually it will become sweet. When you, as a farmer, know that it takes about few years for the fruit to be sweet, and you're tasting the fruit in a sour state, are you going to say it's a bad fruit? Or you're going to say it's an unripe fruit? Unripe. Rav Ashlak shares, every time you made a mistake, every time you see in someone else, in your partner, something is wrong, there's a decision. You judge it as bad, so you're basically saying the creator is bad. When you look at this, it's unripe, because every unripe behavior, selfish behavior, ego behavior, you can judge it as bad or unripe, because the process of evolution of every attribute, in order to achieve love, you have to go through many stages of selfishness. It's a process. You don't jump to love. You go from unripe to ripe. Like a fruit needs to go from unripe to ripe, the attribute of love, the attribute of true creativity, egoless, in an egoless way. So every beautiful attributes and beautiful behavior go through the process of unripe to ripe. So let's say you hurt someone in the process of being controlled by your anxiety and fear. You can call it bad, but in a context of the bigger picture, are you really bad? Or this particular attribute, take full responsibility. It was a mistake, but it's simply unripe. And by taking that responsibility with acceptance and eventually with self love, you allow the process of unripe to become more ripe, more elevated. When, when you behave poorly towards someone that you love, and you dwell in guilt and shame, and still judge yourself for a while, ask yourself the question, is that guilt and shame and self judgment help you to become better next time to heal your attributes and to become more caring and more loving? It does the opposite. From my experience, guilt is the permission to do the same thing again, is the illusionary, I'm punishing myself now through guilt. Now I'm free. I can do it again. It doesn't help us. Instead of being brutally honest, it was wrong. I'm willing even to celebrate mistake. But I know it's part of my process to become better. And I'm loving myself. And my attitude towards myself is not I'm just a sour fruit. I'm unripe, but I believe in myself. That's part of the evolution of life. Imagine you look at your child and they did something wrong and you say, you're bad. Instead of smiling, wow, what a beautiful soul. They're going through the process of evolution and growth. And imagine people that you love, partners, spouses, how many relationships being destroyed because we have a fixed consciousness? What you've done is bad, period, instead of unripe. And I'm not suggesting that we should, any person that behave in certain poor way, you should be their best friend. But the people in our environment, which we know deep inside in our tikkun, they're helping us to grow their unripeness because it's triggered within us the opportunity to become like the Creator. The Creator look at all of us. Are we ripe? Beautiful being that align with God 100%? Not yet, but the Creator sees and loves us by the full ripeness.
I love it. And I'm just thinking one other, I mean, if somebody needs motivation to put what you're talking about in practice, the Kabbalists also teach that when you are in that space of accepting and celebrating, you take all of the previous times you behaved that way and you turn those dark moments into light moments. So it's not only, yes, you're growing, you're becoming a better person. How you behave in the present and the future also changes how your past affects you. And to know that, at least for me personally, gives me greater motivation. Yeah, I exploded. I lost my temper there a minute ago, and I feel terribly, but I also know that I'm doing better and better. And next time it'll take more to get me there, or I'll get there for a second and come back to myself. But that work in progress, that ripening journey is something that all of us are in. And to know that it works in all directions and not just in this moment, to me is deeply inspiring. And I hope everybody can take it to heart this week, because the healing in the present moment also heals the past, which definitely has a dramatic effect on where we are going forward. Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow us on those platforms to receive more content to support you in living what we share every week. You can also go to our website, weeklyenergyboost.com, where you can search through our archives, send us a message, and click the donate button to help make Weekly Energy Boost possible. But as always, what makes everything possible is your sharing, putting this wisdom into more hands creates change in the world, and we cannot thank you enough for continuing to do that week after week. So we'll see you next time on the Weekly Energy Boost.